Well, Nigel, in terms of squad news and illness, you're missing a couple of players at the weekend. Looks like, are they going to be okay for this weekend?
Yeah, both Zach and Jay have trained all week, so yeah, I think they'll be fine for the weekend.
And Andreas having to come off fairly early on.
We're going to have a look at him today and then again tomorrow to see whether he's ready to play. But I think just speaking to him now, he feels a lot better. But I think we're going to have to see him out on the grass if we can get out there at some point.
And no other illnesses, nothing else picked up in between then and now.
Not as far as I know. Apart from the manager having a croaky voice, yeah. But
that time of year, isn't it? Unfortunately. And I was just interested, not expecting you to tell us the team, but in terms of how you select a team, Zach and Jay have been regulars. Yeah. They've played well for most of this season. They miss out through illness. What goes through your mind in terms of you won last week, you don't like changing a winning team? How does that sort of balance itself off?
Well, there's an element of trying to be fair. Both of those players are in credit, but also I also need to consider, and we as staff need to consider, the fact that we could keep an unchanged side. You know, that's just how it works. I mean, ultimately it's about trying to pick the right team to win any game, and so sometimes sentiment has to be put to one side, and it's just about trying to pick the right side. So that will be the same case this weekend too.
And I was just looking back at the good winning run at the start of the season, and it wasn't like you named the same team week in, week out, but the core was there throughout that. Injuries have meant that's been very difficult for you the last couple of months. Yeah. How key is that to get back to that ability to do the same?
Having a settled side is I think, a good thing in most cases. But I just think because we've got a tight squad, everybody who's in the squad is not too far away from the team anyway. So it's there'll be disappointments for individuals, but I think everybody recognises the need for us to put a run together. So, you know, my job isn't to try and keep everybody happy. It's about trying to find the right solutions for us when we take the field, and that's what we'll do again this weekend. We're playing against a team which have had a change of manager this season. They are physically a good team. Their numbers are very, very good. They have a lot of energy. So, you know, we're going to have to match that at least to overcome them. It should be a good game of football.
And actually, those ones that came in last weekend, I think particularly of someone like George Tanner, who hasn't had a lot of game time, but I thought defensively in particular looked like he'd come on since last we saw him, I think.
Well, people like George, for instance, he's when we signed him at the start of last season, he was very much one for the future, and he's had to overcome a couple of injuries in his time here, but he's definitely improved, and he's definitely just very physically, on a physical level, he's much better than he was when he first came. So, you know, I've got no doubts in my mind that if George plays, he will give us exactly what we expect. He's mobile. I think that was important last week, to have a bit of mobility and pace, just because of how Rotherham play. So he's of course he's in contention like everybody's.
And he's one of a number. I think it would be fair to say, other than those who've been injured, you can see players developing here. You know, you could go through from back of the team to the front of the team and say that player A, B, C is better than they were 12 months, 18 months ago. And that's not always the case at a lot of football clubs where it's winning now. That must give you satisfaction as a coaching staff.
Yeah, in one sense it does. But I mean, real progression will be when we become more efficient at winning games, and that's the thing. So it is a frustration that we've not been able to pick up the points that I think some of our performances have warranted. But yeah, we are making improvements, but it's just important now that we try and make sure that our team performances really do start to bring us more points. That's what we want. We know we've got a very good academy that's producing players, and I don't see that being a problem for the future. I think how we are working now as a club, I think, is very beneficial. I think it's looking at the future, the medium term, and the longer term. I think the club's in good health, but of course, our fan base would want to see us win more games, and so do we as well. So that's the task for the remainder of this season, is to firstly get into the top half and then start to push on from there. We sometimes suffer with having key players who have missed out, and I think that's been evident in performances and results. But we'll overcome that, because everybody who's involved in the squad has a role to play and will get opportunities.
This is your first game at Ashton Gate, obviously with the break and everything else, but for quite a while there hasn't been a win for a while. How important would it be going into a busy period to just get that monkey off the back?
Yeah, it's going to be really important for us. I think it's clearly we need to have an upturn in results at home, for sure. But providing we go out there and play with the intensity and the desire that we have done of late at home, I think some of our performances have been very good. We'll change the trend. Okay, pleasure.
There's a comment that stood out for me after the Rotherham game.
Yeah.
You said it was interesting to see your team observe that they can manage the clock towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
Is that an area that you feel like it can be improved, and is it about being a bit more streetwise?
I think we've talked about this on numerous occasions, but certainly we've become a bit better at doing that. You know, it's just it's being streetwise, like you say. It's just a bit trying to make sure that we minimalise risk, and that's what it's always about. I cast my mind back to the awful home run that we had, where we didn't win for whatever 15, 16, 17 games, whatever it was, and you could sense anxiety in the stadium when the fans were allowed back in, and I think we are better at dealing with those types of situations now. But you know, that's just a small part of it. What we have to be or continue to try and improve at more than anything is to try and dominate games a bit more. You know, we've had some good spells of possession in games recently. We are a counter-attacking side, I know that, but when we've got our strongest side out there, I do think we can manage the tempo of the game pretty well. And we'll have to do that against Stoke at the weekend, because they're a decent side themselves.
How would you see the back three at the moment? Has Andy King given you a few welcome selection decisions to make in that position with his performances in the last two games?
Yeah, I mean, but I would expect that from him anyway. He's he's part of a team that won the Premier League. So as players get older, it's really important that they use their knowledge and use their experiences. And I think what players like Andy King bring to our team is is having a coach on the pitch, and that's really important. I mean, he is a player coach anyway, but just in terms of game management, he understands what the team needs. So yeah, I'm really pleased to have him in the squad.
And Campbell as well. He's had to be patient for his opportunity, but his adaptability and centre back and wing back.
Yeah.
He's
I'm really pleased for him, but it's, again, I think with Cam Pring, the big thing for him is for him to nail down that position himself. He's in the side, and he deserves to be there. And maybe because of his career here so far, he's been farmed out a number of times on loan. He's had to work really hard to get back into the system here. But I'm really glad we've got him, and he's a good athlete, really good athlete, and his pace and power is a huge asset of his. So yeah, I'm pleased that he's able to hold down a place.
Just looking ahead to January.
Yeah.
In your previous experience, how difficult is it to get deals done in January, and especially early, as you would like?
It depends where you are. Depends which club you're at. Depends what. Again, it's more beneficial to get deals done early, but it depends on who you're trying to get and the clubs that they're at and whether they want to do it or not. You know, there's loads of factors which come into it. I think, if I'm honest, we've probably got a better chance of trading than we have just going out and adding to the squad. It could be that sort of a scenario, but we'll have to wait and see.
Does it make it more complicated to get the deals done early, knowing that you have to trade? Because then there's...
I don't worry about it. You know, if it can be done, fine. And if it can't, I don't worry about things that I don't have control over. You know, it's my job is to keep an eye very much on what we've got already and how we can improve it if possible. But it's just a very pragmatic approach to a situation that we all know we want to develop our squad. It's just the time frame that you can do it in, and what I'll reiterate again is that what we won't do is just add players for the sake of it. If we can't get the players that we want, or we can't do the business that we would like to do, we'll leave it to the next window, and we'll have to then find internal solutions. So who knows, we might have one or two more from the academy breaking through this season. You don't know yet.
Just on Hanno, he said last week there was a possibility of him leaving in January.
Yes.
Have the club received any interest in him?
Not that I'm aware of that we've got anything absolutely concrete. But again, my view on Han Noah is this: that I'm confident that if he's required here, he's a good professional. I like him, and if we need him, we'll use him. But also, I think it would be beneficial for all parties if we could find a solution in January, but we won't force it.
And Duncan Ireland as well.
Yeah.
This week, will the club look to facilitate another loan move for him in January? Or?
Possibly, yeah, possibly. You know, there are other youngsters within the club who've probably gone past him at the moment, so that's a possibility that Dunk could go out again. The only reason we brought him back is his opportunities at Carlisle were limited, so I think it's a sensible thing to bring him back in, and we'll try and find a different solution for him.
And although he didn't get the game time he probably would have wanted at all,
Yeah.
you can use that as experience going forward and develop as a
Yeah,
player.
yeah, but we've already spoken about Cam Pring having been sent out on numerous loans, and I don't think, you know, you've got to remember that Duncan's one of our players, and we have to manage his welfare as well. So it means that rather than keep sending him out loan somewhere, we might find a different solution, and that is, you know, when players we have to make a decision whether they're actually going to break into our first team. And if the answer is probably not, then it's in their interest to get a more permanent solution. So, and that's just to generalise, you know. But I don't think I don't really believe in sending young players out to any number of loans, because I don't think that's beneficial to their development. So what we will try and do is to make our own decisions on players and then find the best solution for them. It's as simple as that, really.
Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure. Hi.
You mentioned that Thomas Callis could feature again for the
Yeah.
How's his recovery coming along? Is he in contention to play this weekend?
No, not this weekend. No. But hopefully pretty soon. He's working really hard, and be good to get him back. You know, whatever the time frame is, it would be good for him to get back into the reckoning.
You also spoke about Stoke's high intensity.
Yeah.
Do you feel the midfield battle will be particularly important this weekend? Or
Very. It'd probably be the most important. You know, we've got good players in there, so they've scored a number of goals from midfield and many assists from midfield. So it's a strong area of their team. But as I always say, it's about our own performance and what, you know, if we get the best out of our own players, then we've always got a chance of winning the game.
And I know you mentioned before how confident the team are that they can score goals.
Yeah.
They have seemed to dried up over the last couple of months, but 3 last weekend, first time since early September. How confident are you that the strikers can get firing against?
Oh, I've got no doubts. Although both Tommy and Naki, who started the game last week, didn't get on the score sheet themselves, they were in really good form, and so I don't worry about that. I know that they are. If chances come their way, they'll take them. So I don't worry about things like that. It's more about what the side does. So I don't really care who scores the goals as long as we do. And I've spoken many times in the past about we have to share the load as well, so to speak. So, you know, Joe Williams has got 2 goals this season, which is good, and he makes positive runs into the box. Alex Scott has got goals in him, but we've not seen it so far. But I'm sure we will before long. Okay.